Introduce the Vice President, Kamala Harris.
Did you watch that border video down in El Paso? And does that send a message to Americans that the border is secure?
We are very clear, and I think most Americans are clear, that we have a broken immigration system and we need to fix it.
The border is closed. The border is secure.
So would you say, having been asked this over and over again, that the United States, the President of the United States, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and all of the hardworking men and women at the border have operational control or have a form of presence, that they are aware of what's going on in the border and that they're working to secure the border every single day?
As we define that term, Congresswoman, we do.
We are very clear.
As of right now, is that executive action on the border still on the table? Could we see that?
That does not absolve the fact that the real fix is going to be when Congress acts.
Still on the table, though?
Yeah, for consideration.
The president said yesterday that he was hoping executive action on the border would happen by itself, that Congress would legislate it. Can you just confirm for us that this indicates that he's no longer considering executive action on the border?
Well, the president has been very clear, and I've been very clear. Anytime I've asked about executive actions here, the bottom line is, in order to actually have change, extensive change, real change, comprehensive change, that Senate bill that was negotiated between Republicans and obviously Democrats in the Senate would have been the best way to go. It would have been the toughest, fairest piece of legislation, law, if you will, if it had been moved and the president was able to sign it into law. And that's what's important. The president is trying to make it very clear: no executive action would have that effect, the effect that this bipartisan negotiation would have had.
We have been clear in multiple conversations and in every way that any major military operation in Rafah would be a huge mistake. Let me tell you something. I have studied the maps.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country.
The second reason I am here is to announce that today I am launching the National Resource Center for Red Flag Laws. And this National Resource Center will be a place where we will, through that, provide for training for local leaders on how to use red flag laws and keep communities safe.
You have expressed national security concerns over TikTok. So has the president. Why does your campaign then have a TikTok account where you're encouraging Americans to follow it?
So let's start with this. We do not intend to ban TikTok. That is not at all the goal or the purpose of this conversation. We need to deal with the owner, and we have national security concerns about the owner of TikTok, but we have no intention to ban TikTok. In fact, what it serves in terms of it's an income generator for many people, what it does in terms of allowing people to share information in a free way and a way that allows people to have discourse is very important. But we do have concerns about the national security implications of the owner of TikTok, and that has been our position in terms of what I think we need to do to address those concerns.
The ban could happen if its Chinese parent company does not sell the app. Should your campaign stay on TikTok with those national security concerns that you're voicing?
Well, we'll address that when we come to it. But right now, we are concerned about the owner of TikTok and the national security implications. We do not intend to ban TikTok, and we understand its purpose and its utility and the enjoyment that it gives a lot of folks.
First of all, do you still agree that you're ready to lead? And secondly,
of course,
what misconceptions do you think voters might have about you?
Every vice president when they take the oath of office to become vice president understands that they are taking an oath to be prepared to lead if something should happen to the president. And there have been 48 vice presidents before me. I'm the 49th. Each one of us at some time or another has been presented with this question, and I believe each one of us has had the same answer. I am no different. The work of vice president includes the work that I have done for the last 3 years, now traveling to over 20 countries in all 4 hemispheres. It includes the work of having met directly with over 150 world leaders. It includes heading up a number of initiatives that directly impact the American people. And there is the work that is about doing what we must do to understand the role that the United States of America plays in the context of the world.
We have achieved a lot. Carol was so wonderful in her introduction to list what could be, my husband Doug says it's like a CVS receipt. We could just go on and on with what we've got on the list. But I will say what everyone here knows. I do believe strongly that this is a very decisive decade that we're in. And the moment is now. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children. A movement that has always been about the ability to see what can be unburdened by what has been. So I'm really excited about our work. I'm very excited about our work because we are showing that these were not just really good ideas. We are demonstrating that when we have leadership in the highest offices in the land, including in the White House, who believe in what we can do, and then when we push to make it so, it allows other people who perhaps before couldn't imagine it to now see how it works. And we are building then the movement in such a substantial way in terms of those who are coming into the rooms to be a part of what we know is in the best interest of obviously our country, but our world.
The former president has stated an intention to weaponize the Department of Justice against his enemies. We look at what America stands for, and our pride as Americans include, I think for most of us, knowing that we are a world leader.
The hypocrisy abounds.
We have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York.
Well, today, the Department of Justice unsealed the historic indictment charging a former president for the first time in history with federal crimes.
New charges today concerning the classified documents he took from the White House.
Donald Trump is now facing his 3rd criminal indictment.
According to a leaked document, the FBI spied on Catholic churches around the Richmond area.
The Department of Justice has directed the FBI to use its full authority to investigate any threats targeting school board officials. This just days after a prominent school board association, the National School Board Association, asked the Biden administration for help against parents who are critical of people who work for the school board.
This is what the first sounds that Roger Stone woke up to this morning was the FBI pounding on his door and shouting.
A movement that has always been about the ability to see what can be unburdened by what has been. Always believe in what can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. That can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Seeing what is possible unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What could be unburdened by what had been? I got some words. I got the vocabulary, and my pronunciation is perfect.